Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl, Grace Tori, and I'm back with a whole new podcast episode. If you are looking for a podcast that's going to help you grow in everything that you are, every aspect of your life, while also having some giggles and some entertainment from time to time, then this is the place for you. Definitely keep on listening or watching. Today, we are talking about something that I feel like is super relevant, especially as you go into like the fall season, the holiday season. I just feel like everyone's kind of struggling financially right now. If you're in the US, politics are crazy. And just like life in general is so stressful trying to juggle like all of your fun holiday stuff and fall and school and your work and whatever it may be. So I thought that it would be the perfect time to talk about how to lower your stress slash cortisol levels, because as you guys know, cortisol is the fight or flight hormone. It's what is directly related to stress and kind of how your body feels the effects of stress. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I have quite the list ready to go and we are going to break it down. So let's go ahead and jump on in. But real quick, don't forget to follow on whatever platform you're currently listening on. Share, leave a rating and review. I think next week I'm going to start reading reviews every single time. I'll just read one review from someone. So if you want a chance to be that person whose review that I read on the podcast, give you your name and everything, give you credit, then definitely comment down below, give me a review on Apple Podcasts. I think you can do stars, but you can't leave an official review on Spotify. So if you're listening on Spotify, you may have to jump to another platform if you want to be included. But yeah, that's going to be the plan starting next week. So I think that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and jump on in. I'm Grace Tori, and you're listening to That Girl the Podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now. So the first thing that I want to say is my title is probably going to be Being Stressed is Killing You. Maybe not, because I feel like the word killing can like get you in a lot of trouble on YouTube, but same vibes. Anyway, basically something along those lines is what it's gonna be called. I kind of wanted to start out by just like addressing that claim, because I know that's a crazy bold claim to make, but it's true. If you didn't know, stress can have lasting effects. So I pulled up some things that stress can do. If you have chronic stress, which is where you're constantly stressing, which I feel like stress is a rabbit hole. Once you start and you kind of get going, it can get chronic super quickly. But if you have chronic stress, this is what it can lead to. Stomach issues like IBS, but less severe issues may include diarrhea, constipation, nausea, bloating, cramping, and excessive gas. And like I said, IBS is like the long-term thing. Headaches and dizziness can also come from stress. I get stress headaches a lot. They're kind of a common thing. Muscle aches and pain, which I didn't know initially, but that kind of makes a lot of sense. I do get muscle pain when I'm more stressed. Chest pain and high blood pressure. Oh, this is really, I get this one a lot. I get like the heartburn, I get the chest pain from stress, and it's so bad, and it's one thing I just wish I could get rid of, but I have to get rid of my stress first. And sleep problems. It can cause trouble sleeping. It can cause fatigue where you feel more tired, but like you can't sleep. It's really common, and that's like one of the more, common, I guess, symptoms. I can't think of another word. But long-term issues that it can cause is arthritis, fibromyalgia, psoriasis, and heart disease. So that's all extremely obviously like long-term issues. It's also been linked to diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and chronic gastrointestinal problems. And then mental health issues like depression and anxiety. So these are all things that can happen just from being stressed long term. So that's why it's important to take care of it now. And if you haven't really worked on a regimen to fix that, or even started getting a routine that is helpful when you're stressed, then girl, let me put you on, because we are going to break it down together. So one thing I want to talk about before we get into everything is stress versus stressors. So stressors are the things that make you stress. So it can be money, it can be a person, it can be your job. That is the stressor. The stressor is what contributes to stress. So I was reading someone's blog where they had like really good sources for everything. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm just like pulling this out of somewhere. Like, no, this is all like backed by science. But their definition of stress was really good. It says that stress is our body's emotional and physical response to possible threats, the possible threats being the stressors. It's a state of psychological strain or tension in our bodies resulting from our stressors. And that's from joyfulstateofmind.com. That's the name of the blog. But stress itself is not a bad thing. Stress is actually a really good thing. It tells you when you should be in danger. The problem is when you have stressors that are just everywhere and you're not managing your stress and it gets out of hand, that's when it becomes an issue. Chronic stress is the issue. Normal amounts of stress are, like, just like I mentioned, totally normal and actually good for you. So I don't want you to think that stress is bad. If you're ever, I don't want you to think like I can never be stressed ever, because that's not the case. Stress is normal. And we're going to break down kind of how to get rid of some of the unnecessary stressors. So this is broken down by short-term, like quick, immediate ways to reduce stress in the moment. But then I also have long-term, and then I also have things that can lower your cortisol. Lowering your cortisol and stress obviously overlap, because when you lower cortisol, you're less stressed. So there's some that are on here twice, but I will mention like when it applies to both. So here's quick ways to de-stress in the moment. Number one is engaging your senses to be more present. By the way, these are not in any specific order. They're all equally helpful, but engage your senses to be more present. This could mean, I saw someone was talking about popping bubble wrap, doing something with your hands, like a puzzle, engaging your senses by like lighting a candle, which we'll get more into. Any sort of way to bring yourself back into the present moment that doesn't involve like watching TV. Like, you can watch like a funny video and that'll bring you back into the moment, but I don't want you to like be doom scrolling or like on media a ton. Just a way that you can engage, even if it's just like, I have a crystal right here that I literally just saw and picked up. It's shaped like a heart, and ooh, I dropped it. Just like playing with it and becoming more present with this moment, like thinking about the shape of it, the colors involved, things like that are going to bring me back into this moment. That can reduce stress if you are in the moment eating a quick way. Next is eating dark chocolate with at least 70% cocoa in the ingredients. This is one of those that relates to reducing cortisol as well, because diet is a huge way to reduce your cortisol and in turn reduce your stress. But eating dark chocolate actually has some really good benefits. It can reduce stress, lower blood pressure, reduce your risk of heart disease, and improve brain function. So it's actually really good for you. To put it simply, it's really good for you and can help with stress. Next is journaling. Whether you're journaling what you're grateful for, whether you're journaling your stressors and writing them all out, whether you're making a game plan of how you're going to overcome a situation so that you're feeling less overwhelmed. Journaling is an incredible way to reduce stress in the moment, and there's some amazing journal prompts, whether it's on Pinterest, on TikTok, on Instagram, whatever. Social media is good at having journal prompts for relieving stress and just journaling in general. Number 4 is meditate and perform breathing exercises. This also has been linked to reducing cortisol. It's another one of those. I say meditate so that it can be religion friendly to everyone, because you can meditate regardless of what you believe. But if you are someone who is more religious, prayer and meditation can be interchangeable. You can do both. You can do one or the other. And then also the breathing exercises. This has been known to reduce cortisol, and it's just really good. It's a good practice to do because you are more clear on what you want. You have like mental clarity in all aspects of life. You also have better self-discipline. There's a lot of reasons why meditating is beneficial. Also, just breathing exercises, it literally calms you down. It works like a charm every time. So meditation and breathing exercises. Number 5 is giving or receiving hugs. This has been known to release good chemicals in your brain like dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. So they have those benefits, but also if you hug someone for 20 seconds, and I'm reading off of a source here again because this is all backed by science, A 20-second hug can reduce the harmful impacts of stress, lowers your blood pressure, and even helps with heart health. So another thing that is super easy and really beneficial, I don't know about you, but that warm and fuzzy feeling I get when I hug someone, I wonder if it's like this happening inside my body, but I just like pass it off as a feel-good feeling. I don't know, but hugs are incredible. Drink hot tea. This is great from a herbal standpoint because you have things like chamomile and green tea that are super good for you, but it also has the point of it's just like calming, it feels really good, and it's good for you. So drink hot tea. A good thing that you can do is drink hot tea instead of a coffee in the morning. You shouldn't be having caffeine, which I'll get into in general, because that does contribute to your stress. But if you have to have caffeine, drink green tea instead of coffee, and that'll be so much better for you and your stress levels. Find your happy place. So I know this one, I put it in quotes because it's kind of like, you can't just go to your happy place whenever a lot of times. Like, say your happy place is a family vacation you went on when you were younger to like the beach. Obviously, if you're just at work, you can't just get in your car and drive 10 hours to the beach. But you can visualize it. Visualizing is a great way to improve your mood, reduce stress, put yourself in a better state of mind. And if you are a big person in manifesting or quantum physics, visualization is a huge way to manifest what you want. And it is just like a good practice. So whether you're into the manifesting or not, finding your happy place and visualizing that when you are stressed has been known to decrease your stress. Another one that directly relates to reducing cortisol is exercising, but I want to talk about an exercise specifically, and that is dancing. From an energetic standpoint, when you dance, you're shaking off all the negative energy, which sounds a little woo-woo, but stick with me. Just try it, and then you can tell me. So music has also been linked to decreasing stress if it's the type of music that kind of calms you and makes you happy versus like stressful, sad music. So if you put on some happy music and dance, you're literally dancing away that negative energy. So that is one great way to reduce stress immediately. But I also did mention exercise. I am talking about low stress exercise for the most part. I like to walk on an incline or take my dog at a walk, and that is the low stress exercise that I like to do, but it has been linked to lower cortisol. HIIT workouts can increase cortisol, so be careful when you're choosing a workout. It's not bad to have cortisol, like I mentioned, but if you do want to get like your blood checked to see how much cortisol you have, then definitely do that. Breathing and stretching, again, that low cortisol exercise of stretching just feels good, it calms you down, and it's a good way to go. And then including the breathing exercises while you stretch is just chef's kiss. Spend time with your pets. So spending time with your pets has been known to release oxytocin, endorphins, all those good hormones, and it gives you someone to kind of talk to that's not going to judge you. So I love spending time with your pets. Hugging them specifically, you're going to get the boost of the hug while also spending time and getting the additional boost of the other benefits of hugging a pet. Whether it's not yours, it's like your grandparents, your moms, whatever, hug a pet. Snacks. This also goes back to the diet, but snacks that are specifically for reducing stress. There are snacks that reduce stress, reduce your cortisol, obviously, and promote positive non-stress. But I don't remember what the word is. Life is hard. Mine's going blank. Anyway, here is some that reduce stress relief. Pistachios, pumpkin seeds, blueberries, bananas, sunflower seeds, avocados, dark chocolate, spinach, broccoli, probiotic yogurt, pears, red peppers, tuna, walnuts, eggs, shrimp, anchovies, and lastly, sauerkraut. Oh wait, no, there's okay. Yeah, so those are some that reduce your stress, and they're honestly kind of common and really easy to incorporate into your diet. So definitely be incorporating those into your diet to lower your cortisol levels. Now, the last thing on the list that quickly de-stress you in the moment is aromatherapy. I am going to say that with a warning. If you're using essential oils, make sure the oils that you're using, putting into the room, are safe for pets if you have pets, or safe for yourself, because there's some that are really not safe for human consumption up to like a certain amount. and people be using them because they're not really like being regulated. So keep an eye on the essential oils that you're using, but essential oils, aromatherapy, a candle, a simmer pot, this is a great way to de-stress yourself and incorporate your senses. Also, on a bigger note, making sure your environment is conducive to like growth and efficiency. I know that when my house is messy, I'm way more stressed, and I'm literally triggered by the sight of like my messy house versus having a clean house. So definitely make sure your environment is good long term and you are using aromatherapy and other ways to de-stress. So those are the instant ways. These are things to avoid that you can instantly start avoiding that will reduce your stress. So one is alcohol. I have heard over and over again, alcohol is so bad for stress. Another thing that is terrible for stress is sugar or processed foods, more specifically sugar, but both are not great for stress. You should cut back on those. No binge watching TV. Avoid doom scrolling. Don't buy things you don't need. I know that for me, I like the dopamine boost of going to Target and buying things. Stop it. Stop that right now. You don't need it. We're not doing the overconsumption. And yeah, it's going to be a temporary dopamine high. Also, don't skip meals. I'm really guilty of that, but it can really contribute to your stress. Lack of water, if you're not hydrated, that also deeply contributes to stress. Not moving around enough and not exercising, staying inside and not getting enough natural boost of like sunlight, being in nature, fresh air, those all help. Hydrogenated cooking oil is not good. Fruit juice can raise cortisol levels, which I didn't know. Chocolate cake, we're not talking about dark chocolate, we're talking about chocolate cake. Bread, which that one hurts. Cookies, processed meats, and then sugary snacks, which ties in with sugar. So these are all things that you should avoid because it's not good for you and not a good time, honestly. So before we talk about long-term ways to reduce stress as well as how to reduce cortisol, there are two charts that I found on Pinterest I want to go over with you. So both of these are from Nourish with Bella. And the first one says, what does a stressed metabolism look like? So these are just some symptoms, and I'm going to read them out so that if you can relate to them, it may have to do with that, like your metabolism may be stressed. So cold hands and feet, body temperature below 97.6, little to no appetite, especially in the morning. I know I have that one. Low progesterone, struggle to conceive, low pulse rate. You wake up between 2 and 4 a.m., chronic acne, easily get sad or anxious. I know that's right. Estrogen dominance, hair loss, low sex drive, bloating or constipation, PMS symptoms, heavy, and this is the last one, heavy, painful, missing, or irregular periods. So all of this is obviously catered to women, but if you have any of those stressors, it may be your stress metabolism, especially if you have a bunch of them. Another thing I want to talk about that is also from Nourish with Bella is some of your hidden stressors. So what may be stressing you out. This is great to talk to before we jump into the long-term things because some of this will correct itself if you take advice from the long-term things you can do. But I also want to make you aware of them because these are hidden, so you may not know. The first one is mental or emotional stress from jobs, family situations. Stress that you feel most often and probably can relate to is that mental or emotional stress that comes from that. Now here's the ones that may not be so obvious. One is undernourishment. Not just like you're not getting enough calories, but you don't have enough minerals or nutrients in your body. You're not getting all the vitamins you need. Environmental toxins such as makeup, cleaning products, formaldehyde, pesticides, and food additives, as well as more. That's stressful. That stresses me out, and that's one that I try to like really take into consideration, open my windows, do all those things. But now there's a hawk that's like living on our roof, checking out the bunnies through the window, and that's stressing me out. So blinds have been closed and windows have been closed for a while. Little side note. Unbalanced blood sugar. This can be from skipping meals or not eating enough carbs or protein in each meal. That one I feel like may be a little bit more common. Poor light exposure, so not enough natural sunlight or too much blue light from technology. I think that we're all very guilty of this, especially in the winter or in the colder, darker months. But that is one that contributes to stress. Medications like birth control, which can deplete minerals quickly and increase your need for nutrients. Medications is one I feel like everybody forgets. Like, it literally says on there side effects may include, and usually stress is included on that. Like increase in stress or anxiety or depression or whatever. It can be from your medication for sure. So definitely make sure that if you are on a medication that eats up your minerals more quickly, you are compensating for that. EMF exposure. Living in big cities with Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, 5G, smart meters, all of that in constant use can really contribute to EMF exposure, which can contribute to stress. Poor quality of sleep. If you have trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, snoring, or mouth breathing, that decreases your quality of sleep. And lastly, exercise, pregnancy, or breastfeeding. Obviously, they're good stressors, but they're still considered stress on yourself. So definitely make sure you're taking care of yourself if you're doing those things. So now we are going to jump into long-term things that can help you prevent your stress. I have a couple of these, and then we'll go into reducing cortisol. So finding your social support system is so important. What I'm talking about is your friends and family that you can talk to. And I'm not saying to treat them like a therapist, because that can be very draining for them. And that's not, like, if you get to the point where you really am leaning on someone emotionally and you can't do it alone, then I highly recommend going and seeing a therapist. But in general, you should have a social support system that's there to listen and support you, and you should definitely lean on them in these times. If you don't have one, this is why I put it under long term. It's time to start building one. Create healthy habits. I'm specifically talking about diets and exercise, but you should be making sure all aspects of your wellness are met. But diet and exercise can really help when you are trying to reduce stress. Those are, I feel like, the quickest long-term quote-unquote things that you can implement that are going to decrease stress. So definitely eating better, adding exercise into your daily routine, those are great ways to decrease stress. Schedule time for just being yourself, finding yourself, and having fun. I kind of lump that all together, but you know, whether it's painting or going out with friends or sitting in nature, you need to be scheduling regular time. I'm talking every day to do something fun or find yourself or just sit with yourself. Manage your stressors to prevent being overwhelmed. So obviously this is like the whole theme, but having good time management skills, good organization skills, and managing your stressors in a way that you are not overwhelmed by them, because I know that they creep up on you and suddenly they're all there at once and it can be really stressful. So definitely be doing that. Let's jump into the how to reduce cortisol. Like I mentioned, your diet, all of those things I talked about that can reduce your cortisol, all the foods I listed, but you can definitely fall down the rabbit hole quite easily about ways to improve your diet that reduce stress. I highly encourage doing your own research and finding what works best for you, and also talking to a doctor so that you're not just like making these crazy changes without making sure it's what's best for you specifically, because everybody is different. Mindfulness activities. This is from meditating to breathing. These are one of the ones I already mentioned with meditating, breathing exercises, stretching, yoga. All of that includes mindfulness. Another one we already talked about was aromatherapy, but specifically lavender, chamomile, peppermint, and rosemary have been linked to decreasing your cortisol levels. So those are the 4 that you really want to look out for. Exercise, not only does it release endorphins, but it's also a distraction for me. I go to the gym because it's an outlet. It's a way for me to get all of my stress out in a healthy way. I can run all of my stress out, and I tend to like to do that. Whereas, you know, there's a lot less healthy ways that you can cope with stress. So it's just a healthy way to do it, and it also releases some positive hormones that will make you feel better. Exposure to light at night, like decreasing that. So, yeah, your circadian rhythm, I talk about it all the time because I have animals that really heavily rely on their circadian rhythm being correct, but making sure that you are being exposed to the right kind of light at the right time and you're not messing with your circadian rhythm is a great way to reduce stress. Low intensity workouts, like I mentioned, not HIIT workouts, low intensity workouts. If you type in low intensity workouts, you will get 1,001 that you can incorporate into your day-to-day routine. Limit caffeine. I talked about this, but caffeine is terrible for you when it comes to stress. It's gonna make you go crazy. Like, I cannot stress this enough. Caffeine makes you jittery, it makes you stressed, it makes you anxious. And I get it, I love coffee, but limiting your caffeine is gonna make things so much better and reduce your cortisol levels. Get 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. I feel like everyone says that, but I had to put it in there because it's tried and true. One thing I thought was interesting that I hadn't heard of before is tensing and relaxing your muscle groups. So purposely tensing your muscles and then purposely relaxing them. You can find really, really detailed instructions of how to do this on each parts of your body by yourself. Obviously, you're tensing your own muscles everywhere. You can find it on Google, Pinterest, whatever. So definitely look that up and check it out. I thought it was interesting, and I'm definitely going to give that one a try. Epsom salt baths reduce stress, calm you down, make you feel better. Those are really important. Create art or just engage in hobbies. If art isn't your thing, find a hobby. But for me, like creating art, it does reduce your cortisol levels. Anything where you're like calming yourself down, it's an outlet that you can definitely use. But finding hobbies or just like creating art help. Laugh. I know that sounds basic, but laughing. Have you ever just been in a bad mood so you laughed? Like you made yourself laugh and then you felt better? That's like not a joke. That is 100% a real thing you can do. So if you're like super stressed out, maybe give yourself a chuckle. Watch a funny video. Think of a funny joke. Do something to get you back on track. Efficient daily routines. This is the healthy habits. This is not just like the diet and exercise. This is getting the right amount of hours of sleep. This is your morning routine, your night routine. This is not only that, but doing something every single day so that your mind has consistency and you don't have the stress of like what's gonna happen, because you kind of know what's gonna happen. There's really no surprises there, so your brain is like, oh, okay, like I can take a break. I don't have to worry as much, because worrying is what is leading to the stress. It's like the same thing. So make sure that you are having efficient and consistent daily routines where you can. Ask for help. That is so hard to do. I get it. It's really hard, but it's the best way to manage stress when it comes to having a lot on your plate is asking for help. Definitely make sure you are doing that as well. I'm so bad at it. I'm so bad at it. But I'm learning very quickly recently, honestly, how important it is to ask for help and get other people involved. It's not you being a burden, especially if they are a caring, loving, a part of your life. They are going to want to help you, and if they can't do it, they can point you in the right direction. Separate yourself from work. Don't bring work home. I know you've heard it 1,000 times, but bringing work home is not great for the vibes, you know? Leave it there. You don't get paid enough to worry about it at home. I guarantee it. Even if you make $1 million, it's not worth worrying about it at home and putting your health at risk. Ignore drama and gossip. I know this one's hard. I love the drama. I love the gossip. I don't like being a part of it, but I like watching it. But it is an unnecessary worry that leads to stress. So you're going to need to step away from that. That'll reduce some cortisol. That'll get you out of it. And then the stress won't be as bad. It may be a little more boring in your life. You may have to protect your peace a little bit harder, but sorry, my living room camera went off. I was like, there's no one down there. Okay, spooky season. Go off, queen. But, you know, I get it. We all love the drama and the gossip, but there comes a time when you have to say, do I want to be stressed and put that unnecessary worry on? Or do I want to just protect my peace and set boundaries? And that's when you kind of gotta step back. Having strong communication skills. So talking through issues, not letting them persist. This is hard. I recently had an issue where I have like a business deal ongoing with someone, and they were breaking the contract in multiple ways, and it kind of been going on for a while, but I kept kind of saying, oh, it's not a big deal, it's gonna get better, it's not a big deal. But it got to the point where I had to say something, and I have a hard time saying something, especially in those situations, because I know that I look like a 24-year-old girl. Like, I know that I look like I'm not that, I don't know, I'm not like anything special. I'm not 24, I'm 25. Sorry, totally forgot. I know that a lot of people like to think that I'm not like smart or whatever. Like, I get underestimated a lot because no one expects the silly 25-year-old girly pop to know what she's talking about, but I do, and I tend to have expertise in a few different areas. So having to kind of have that conversation was really, really, really hard for me, and that's why I put it off for so long. And it was to the point that I was, this is kind of gross, but I was throwing up because I was so stressed, and I couldn't even sleep because I was so stressed about this one thing. And I just had to put my big girl pants on and talk it out. And after we talked it out, I obviously felt a lot better, and I think that both of us were able to communicate, and there were details that both of us were missing, and, you know, both of us said like where we could do better, and it was a learning moment for everyone. But it was so scary, and I think that my grandma had to remind me that it wasn't personal, it wasn't like I wasn't attacking someone, it's a business deal, and I was being business, like I was, you know, performing business. I wasn't just like coming for someone just to come for them. Like, I wasn't being mean. I was making sure that my business is being run correctly. So that really helped, putting on like the cap of like, you know, the person in charge and not the scared little girly pop. So definitely have good communication skills and be willing to talk through issues without letting them get out of hand, whether it's with a coworker, a friend, a family member, whoever it may be. Prioritize all aspects of wellness. If you don't know what the wellness wheel is, I encourage you to look it up. It talks about all of the aspects of wellness. You need to be prioritizing all of those. That alone can be really hard to make sure that you're hitting all areas of that. But your wellness, if you don't have your health and your wellness, then you don't have anything. So make sure that you are prioritizing all of those. Maybe you work on one more than the other one day, but like making sure that you're hitting all of them regularly is really important. Having techniques for when you are overwhelmed, those are the more instant de-stressors I talked about earlier, but having a plan in place, like, hey, if I have a panic attack, hey, if I get overstressed, hey, if I get overwhelmed, this is how I'm going to fix it, and just go into it with a plan so that when you start to feel stressed, you can say, okay, time to take 3 deep breaths. Okay, time to visualize. Okay, we're going to go meditate and stretch for 10 minutes. Like, put those plans in place so that you can have a plan and you're not just like freaking out when the time comes. This one is for my anxious girlies like myself. Don't overanalyze. Understand what you can and can't control. So I tend to overanalyze when things are rough. And I'll be like, I may not be able to control this, but I'm going to analyze every single aspect until I can spin it in a way that I can. And you just need to let it go and accept that you can't control it. I know that's hard. I know. But sometimes you just have to let it go. So I encourage you to stop overanalyzing and understand what you can and can't control and let go of what you can't. That's part of life's journey, is just not knowing everything that's going to happen and not being able to control everything and letting what's meant to happen come to fruition. Less phone time. Whenever I'm going through it, the first thing I do is decrease my phone time. And I promise you, it is so good. It is so worth it. And you feel a million times better almost immediately. So decrease your phone time. Get off of social media. Take some time to yourself. Natural lighting, I already talked about that, but getting outside, making sure that you are getting that natural sunlight. I have a window right next to me, as you can see, and that is really helping with my natural light. But just getting outdoors and not being in fluorescent lights all day. The last item I'm going to leave you with is quite possibly the most important. It is a way to reduce cortisol, and it is a way to reduce stress, and it is a major key, and that's having a positive mindset. So a way that you can kind of help with that is affirmations. If you say it enough times, you're going to believe it. So, you know, I'm pretty, I'm beautiful, I'm confident. Maybe your stressor is you are trying to make rent. Then affirm, I make enough money that I'm going to be able to afford rent this month. And I know it sounds crazy. I know it does, but just give it a shot and tell me what happens. Affirm and have that positive mindset. And when you are doing that and you're being positive about it, opportunities are going to come along that are going to solve your stress. It's just how it works. I don't know. I don't know the science behind it. I know it's quantum physics. I know there's some laws behind it, but having a positive mindset attracts positive things. Having the mindset that everything's going to work out is going to make everything work out. So make sure you're focusing on the positive and not the negative. So that's it. That's all I have for you guys this episode. I really hope you took something from this. Definitely comment a So my bunny is running across the floor right now and I'm watching him. So what I'm going to say is comment a bunny emoji if you made it this far so that I know who the real ones are. If it's possible to comment. I know it's possible on Spotify and YouTube. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Don't eat that, Braxton. Braxton's eating my ring light wire. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you did. I would really appreciate it. Don't forget to share, rate, review, like, comment. Share it with a bestie who you think also would love to grow as a person and have some giggles and, you know, live her best life. I would love for you both to join the community. But that is pretty much it. I'm really, really, really trying to hit my goals. So if you want to be a part of the train, then follow. I'm not kidding. Like, we can do this together. I'm trying to think of a way that we can do that, like a hashtag or something. I know Bria Jones did this and it was really cool. So I want to do something similar, but I'm trying to think of like a fun hashtag. Comment hashtag gal with goals, like GAL with goals. And that'll be our hashtag to meet our goals. So I'm going to set some goals on here. On YouTube, it's going to be 1,000 subscribers. And then on YouTube, or on the other ones, I'll figure out some sort of goal, but you guys can't even see that anyway, so we'll not focus on that. We're going to focus on YouTube. Comment hashtag gals with goals if you subscribe and join the road to 1K and you are here for the ride. You're here from the beginning, even though we're like 2 years into this. We are grinding now. We're getting serious about it. So yeah, I'm just kind of rambling now, but I love you guys so much. I hope you have a great Sunday and you start your week off on the right foot, and I will see you guys later. Bye. Love you.